You may disagree with this. If you do, let us know in the YouTube comment section. But that leads us, Rex, to our number one newsmaker of 2025. In my opinion, no surprise, it was the year of Rory McIlroy. It may not have been his best year statistically, but it certainly was his most personally significant, wasn't it?
Again, this is not deciding who the best player was on the planet. That was Scottie Scheffler. This is not about this. This is about newsmakers. This is about the people that we spent the vast majority of the year talking about. And I don't even think anybody is particularly close on this front when it comes to Rory McIlroy. As I just said, the Jack Nicklaus Trophy that goes to the PGA Tour Player of the Year, that's Scottie's. They should just send it to him right now. They don't have to wait until December 12th for the vote. He's going to be the Player of the Year. Now, you and I are proud members of the Golf Writers Association of America. We, too, give out a male player.
Presidente.
And Vice Presidente. Thank you very much. We give out a male player of the year as well. And I think if you look at the totality of what he did this season around the globe, just not on the PGA Tour, three-time winner on the PGA Tour, including the Players Championship, which was a really cool finish on Monday. I think we're going to talk a little bit about that in the show. And then the Masters, we're going to talk a lot about that in the show. I'm not going to belabor the point. We all know how special that was at Augusta National to complete the career Grand Slam, to finally get the green jacket, all of the emotions, everything that went into that. But then you look beyond that. He won the Irish Open, which for him, being from Ireland, is the fifth major. That one's really important to him. He won his seventh DP World Tour title. That put him really on the doorstep of being the all-time greatest European, right behind Colin Montgomery right now in that category. And he also endured the slings and arrows of the worst fans you could possibly imagine at Bethpage to essentially lead the European team to victory after you and I and everyone else in golf media probably spent the better part of 2 months talking about Rory's going to go into a slump. Like after he wins the Masters, of course, he got to the top of the mountain. He's going to take a second to exhale. Let's give him his accolades. Let's allow him to do this. He did not do that. And in the midst of that, he decided at the end of the year, instead of going and sitting on his couch comfortably and enjoying what he did, to take the game globally, to do this celebration tour around the globe in India and in Australia to finish the year. We talk all the time about players trying to grow the game. I feel like Rory is actually doing it. So if you look at the context, just not the box scores of what Rory McIlroy did this year, in my mind, he's the easy newsmaker.
Yeah, look, Rory McIlroy cemented his legacy as one of the greatest ever. Full stop. Mm-hmm. And the Masters victory, and to me, the fitting manner in which he won at Augusta National with all that drama. Actually, in hindsight, that win makes all of the other achievements that he has had in his brilliant career, like it makes them seem even bigger. It fills out his resume even more. All the weeks at world number one, all the other majors, the FedEx Cup titles, the Race to Dubai titles, as you mentioned, the 29 PGA Tour wins, all the other times, more than 20 around the world. And look, you mentioned the lull that he had post-Masters, which is very human behavior. That was certainly understandable. He will now take that time during this quote-unquote offseason and set other goals for the rest of his career. And he's already outlined a couple of them. He's still 36 years old. He's still in great shape. He wants to prioritize the National Opens because just like the one in Australia, they mean a little bit more. There's upcoming majors in 2027 at Pebble Beach, in St. Andrews. Those major venues, no offense to the others, just mean a little bit more. Winning at some of the cathedrals of the game, as the USGA likes to call them. Olympic gold is still out there for him to potentially achieve in 2028. There's enough carrots to keep him going, but I continue, Rex, to go back to the Ryder Cup and the manner in which he called his shot. He pounded the table in Rome and said, we are going to win at Bethpage, and he backed it up, going 3-0-1 in team play while enduring the most vicious abuse ever in the Ryder Cup. To me, might have been, I know the Masters was phenomenal, and that sort of stamps his legacy as the sixth player ever to complete the career Grand Slam. That was like the perfect coda to his year, don't you think?
I do. And to your point, he also said in that press conference in Rome that was the hardest thing to do in sports. That was a mountain that he wanted to get to. You have to appreciate, I think your words, to call his shot. You have to appreciate the idea that he understood how difficult this was going to be. And he took it all. You and I both walked with him, especially on Saturday at the Ryder Cup at Bethpage. That is as bad as I've ever seen fan behavior. And I'm not trying to make excuses for the New York crowds. They were doing this for a number of reasons, not the least of which is that they're from New York. But they had reason to do it, just not that far. They clearly took it too far. I think both teams and everyone involved has agreed with that. But he shouldered at all. He didn't shy away from any of it. He didn't try to pretend like, no, this isn't a big deal. Not only did he shoulder it, but he really put a lot of bass in his voice in doing it.
Yeah, look, I still think one of the most enduring moments of the year for me at the end of a long year for Rory McIlroy was Luke Donald in that winning press conference talking about Rory McIlroy's sacrifice and how it's such a model for the team that you have a player who has achieved so much in the game who still wants to devote so much of himself to these team events. And Rory was just sitting there nodding with tears streaming down his face because he has accomplished more than anyone on that stage combined. And yet even he understood that it is more satisfying to do it together.